All right, well, it took me way too long to edit this video, but here we are finally back into it. So here's the engine sitting inside the cab of the frame, and here's the engine kind of getting put back together. I got the injection pump back on. I ended up taking my flywheels to go get resurfaced, and look how nice and shiny it looks. The whole engine looks a lot better now. Speaking of looking better, I had a friend of mine paint the letters on the oil fill cap, which I know it seems kind of like a very small detail, but I think it makes a big difference as far as how everything looks on the engine. And speaking of looks on the engine, I always hated the color scheme of this valve cover, but I realized if you paint it completely black and sand all of the letters, it looks really good. I really like how it turned out. And again, it's a kind of small thing, but I think it looks better than the 6 individual valve covers, which I was going to use originally. And here's me just putting my bed back on the truck for once, just to kind of see how it looks in one piece again. And here's something I haven't mentioned at all yet. That's my fuel tank. It came off an 18-wheeler, and it's an 80-gallon tank, but that is what I'm using for my fuel tank at the moment. So if you see this in the back of the truck, don't be surprised of, why it's there. And so now here comes the fun part, which is switching my cabs. So the blue cab on the right is my original cab. The red cab on the left is the cab I bought off of Facebook Marketplace. So that one's a lot less rusty than mine is, which you'll see later how bad mine is exactly. But first, on my birthday, a friend of mine helped me pull the blue cab off using a chain hoist at my grandfather's shop. And here's how it looked when it was separated. And it's crazy to me because I've never torn the car down to this extent before. And this is just my frame. This is my entire truck. And that's wild to me. And here you can kind of see better just how bad the rust really was, And, I live in Houston. We have such bad potholes. If I hit one good pothole, I probably would have lost my entire cab. It would have just peeled off the frame, I'm sure of it, And now the cab is off, you can kind of see just how bad it really is. I took the doors off, and here you can see the entire corner of the floor is missing. And it's just, it's not safe. I could have probably fixed it if I had the patience, but it wasn't worth it to me. It was easier to just buy a new cab and be done with it. So anyways, let's hear my engine again.
Oh my god. Oh my
god, it's fucking smoky though.
Fucking skull bud.
And it sounds good. So here I bolt the transmission to it finally. I ended up taking the entire engine and transmission to my grandfather's shop using a lawnmower trailer and a bunch of ratchet straps. I know it looks sketchy, but it made it. That's all that matters right now. So here it is. And man, it was a lot of metal to move. And here it is sitting in the frame, and now we can finally go ahead and start making some mounts. Okay, so it looks like a mess right now, but here's the main thing that we care about. The yoke is centered. It's in a good position. Lines up pretty well with the rear end. I know the rear end looks horrible. Lines up pretty good. Now, I also figured out how I'm gonna make my transmission cross member. And it's a very, very simple design, but I quite like it because of how easy it'll be to work on. So this plate with the white overspray from when I painted the transmission, these 2 bolts on each side go to the transmission mount. This transmission mount is the stock mount for a Dodge Ram with the main transmission. I think all the transmissions actually use the same mount, but so those holes line up perfectly. So I got nut and a bolt just straight through. And then underneath that, sorry, I couldn't see for a second. So underneath that, we've got 2 more. We've got the studs that come through the mount and then nuts on each side of those. So those are good to go as well. Now, the reason I have this plate here is so I can put it on this rectangular tubing. So I got this, which I know this side's all gnarly, but it's real thick. I think it's a 1/4 inch steel. So I got a 1/4 inch plate on here. So what's about to happen is I'm just gonna tack all of these. I got it all straight and everything. I'm gonna tack all those together and then take it all off and actually properly weld every seam I can find. And then after that is how we get to frame. So then I'm going to make a little bracket that'll sit under this. So it'll sit like right here and just bolt straight through up here. And then it'll have another bracket coming straight down, and I'll cut the rectangular tube right there, weld that to this. So pretty much it'll be like an L-shaped thing, kind of like that. And then cut that off, weld it both sides, and be done. Wow, metal shavings are a lot of fun to clean up. Anyways, these are ready. So, here's what we're doing. Oh, now that we've got this done, got 2 holes drilled, I'm still mounting it under my frame and not inside of it, which I don't know if it's the best choice, but that's the choice I made. So it's pretty much gonna sit like that, right inside my frame. So I need to cut that part off of this rectangle tubing, weld it all the way around onto this plate, and then I'm probably still gonna put another like brace in here. I'm thinking something kind of like that kind of deal, make it a little triangle, and just give it a little extra support, because all that is holding it is my welds on both sides of this corner. And although this is one of my better welds, I'm not gonna lie, this side's all right too. Although this is one of my better welds, I do still want to put extra support. I want to make it as strong as possible. I don't care if it's gonna weigh a ton. I want it to not break. So I'll probably still put another extra brace just like that. But yeah, so we're done with this. This little bracket's ready to go. So I'm just gonna drill 2 holes on the frame, bolt it up there. And then right now what I'm gonna do is cut this rectangle tube to size, and then all right, we're done cutting. That's what we got. Oh, look how nice that cut is. It's beautiful. So now I'm gonna go ahead and go throw it on and see what it looks like. All right, moment of truth. It's perfect. Distance-wise, that is perfect. I did cut this plate just a hair too short to go all the way around. So what I might do is I might just push the rectangle tube up a little bit. But see, it's just the smallest lip, but man, that's ideal right there. That's perfect for me. I drill 2 little holes and be done pretty much. Look at what I made. I made a cross member, and it almost looks like legit. Like I'm actually super excited. I can't even exaggerate how excited I am that like this came out looking as good as this did. I painted it with the same paint I used for my frame, and my welds don't look half bad by my standards, and this thing is not going anywhere. I welded all the way around the rectangular tube, all the way around this plate, under this plate, the seams for these 2. I still think I might end up putting another like bracket, like a triangle across that, just to give it a little extra support, but honestly, this is like really strong because it's all 1/4 inch steel, including the rectangular tube is 1/4 inch steel as well. So I'm pretty excited. I think this is going to be pretty good. So now I still got to drill the holes in the frame. I haven't got around to that yet, but that thing lines up perfectly with everything. I've already bolted the transmission. It lines up with the frame, so I just got to drill my holes in the frame, and I'm golden. Now with the motor mounts, I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. I've kind of narrowed it down to a plate the same size like that with the hole, and then of kind of like that standing out with the arm coming down to the motor mount. And it's gonna be welded to the side, not to the bottom. I'm gonna make this one first, then weld it to the other arm. They'll come here, bolt that down. Same thing on this side. Pretty much same thing on the other side. And the engine is in the middle of the frame. I've measured, I'm using clamps to hold the engine away from the frame and hold the transmission away from that way so I can kind of tilt it sideways. But the engine is perfectly in the middle of the frame. It might not look like it because of the angle I'm at, but it is. I've measured it a million times. But yeah, so now I just gotta make the motor mounts and so, see, now you can kind of see what I meant about the two bars. So there's the horizontal one with the holes that go to the frame, and the vertical ones that go down to the original Dodge mount. And here it is actually on the frame. And I ended up putting one more piece just to kind of reinforce that horizontal bar because I was worried about it snapping in half from the torque. And see, you can kind of see that's what I mean when I say I put a brace in there. And I still don't know how well it's going to hold up or anything, so I guess I just have to kind of have to see how that works out. But that's going to wrap it up for this for now. We'll start reassembling in the next video. But I'm going to leave on a picture of my frame with its powertrain.